My Dominican people, it's just about 5 minutes past that good old hour of 6 o'clock. And that is where we, yes, I repeat, we want to make a prompt start tonight with our usual Saturday live engagement. Tonight being the 23rd night of September 2023. You are indeed welcome to be part and parcel of what is happening here, like each and every Saturday. And so you are about to get a treat in terms of information prepared, information soon to be dispensed. All right. You are a critical cog in what goes on here each and every Saturday. And so I always want to take time off to thank you guys very, very profusely so that you guys know that whatever is happening here, you are well appreciated indeed. So whether you're in Dominica, this blessed rock, whether you are in the region, that is the space in which we live, or you are further afield, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. All right. So again, as I always do, each and every time I come here, my duty it is to spell out, as it were, to dispense what I prepared for you guys, knowing the audience out there. It is your duty now to let someone know that that information segment is on, and so they too can participate by you sharing that live presentation with them. All right. Remember, folks, you too can be part and parcel of the conversation by that always happens. Once I start the live session, somebody always calls on the telephone. All right, but I will call back that person. Yes, once we go live, then it is your duty, as I said, to share that information. And so I appreciate that very, very much. 100+ persons already here. So it is good to see that you guys are doing your due by sharing that much needed information. Folks, tonight we're going to keep the conversation very condensed, much to the point, that is. And so straight off the bat, we're going to have a conversation with a former, I repeat, a former employee of Domlec, one of our own. I'm going to try my very best to pull him in here on that live engagement with us tonight so that he can share some of his experiences, some of what he learned, and more so importantly, tell us some of what we have been hearing, inform us as to some of what we're hearing coming from our sole utility company, Domlec in Dominica, as to making sense, as it were, out of nonsense based on what we have been hearing lately, where we in Dominica have been subjected to what we term in our local language load shedding, meaning the company takes our power from us ever so often because the company itself is not able to produce. The company is not able to generate enough power to supply the whole country at any one time. Those of you in America, you call it what? The rolling blackouts, as it were. So it's the same thing happening here. All right. So yeah, that conversation will be a very interesting one with our brother, Dominican patriotic brother, son of the soil, none other than Brother Carl Kofi James. So sometime later in the program, we will try to engage Brother Carl Kofi James, he being a former employee of Domlec, and so we will hear from him as to what his thoughts are as it pertains to what we are going through in Dominica at this time. All right. So please be in tune for that discussion. It is even more reason now to share that live. Make someone know that we'll be hearing from Brother James in just a bit. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, Brother Carl Kofi James is the brother of Thaddeus James. Thad James is this, how I call it, this very inspirational speaker on Facebook these days. Thad keeps us up to speed as to his perspective, as to how he sees things unfold in his country, Dominica, and always want best for his country, Dominica. So Thad, pleasant good evening to you, my brother. Hope all is well with you. Justina James, the mother of these two young men, she's always there watching. So Mom, good evening to you as well. And whoever else, you see Thad say he's here. Thad, good evening to you, my bro. All right. Yes, so once we are Once we have finished that conversation with Brother James, then we'll be moving into more, how I should say it, more emotional matters as it relates to Dominica. We are hearing, or we heard about that double homicide situation in Dominica, well, in the wee hours of this morning. So I'll be touching on that sometimes later in the program. Also too, I'll be giving you an idea of an update as it pertains to that interview. I know lots of you have been asking, lots of you have been wanting to know an update as to that interview that I had with this young lady from the Warner area. I'll just be touching on that in terms of an update, so you guys can know exactly what is going on with that lady and her daughter or daughters in question. Read the situation that she spoke to us about. So we'll be touching on that as well. In the final, Brother Sherman Boston, good evening to you, sir. Sherman is my partner in the Goodwill area. In the final segment of this program, people, like always, I want to have a really heart-to-heart conversation with us, right? A heart-to-heart conversation, and I will dub that segment later. Use what you have. Yes, you heard me right. Use what you have. That is the final leg for tonight's program, and what I want us to use is primarily our voice. And so I crafted a conversation for us by me topicing it. Use what you have, all in an effort, all in the quest to try to liberate us from the things that we have been going through in Dominica for some time. All right, especially where the malgovernance of this country is concerned. All right, and yes, the much anticipated report from reputable journalists out there came together and did a piece on the CBI program. I call it the CBI Ponzi scheme in Dominica, especially under this Labour Party. I make no apology for that, because that is what it has been, because of the unaccountableness of what goes on in that program. That report, I'm being told from this afternoon when I last checked, October 2nd, it is the carded date to be out. All right, so that report, you can look forward to hearing some things about the Ponzi scheme. Okay, people. And finally, before I leave you, I'll be telling you guys as to just who we will be having on our program tomorrow. That is the Civic Vibes program, a formidable lady. So you'll be hearing just who will be part of that Civic Vibes program, touching or talking on a very important issue, especially in the scheme of things where we are suffering now in Dominica with our load shedding. Domlec choose to call it capacity management situation. And so we'll be hearing from a formidable lady tomorrow on the Civic Vibes program. Good. So basically, folks, in a nutshell, in a crunch, that is what yours truly have prepared for you folks to feast on tonight. And please be part of the conversation by you plugging in your comments. We have access to technology now, so you can call the numbers. Those of you who have my number, call my number, and yes, we can have you on live. All right, to share your comments. We have to use technology. Technology is there to be used. Now, before I really go into the meat of the conversation here, let me see if I could touch some of you by name as we're moving on. We have Marceline Edwards, you're there. Yvonne Vigilant, Verna McGlaw, Glenda Lavidu Burton, Kerry Lockhart Savage, Edith John, Dadrick Gordon, June Bernard, Niski Alfred, Gardien Deluge, Alistair Irish, Eupheli Vidal, Day Jojo, good evening to you. Bridget Gigant, good evening to you. Ophelia Pierre, Dana Philbert Peterson, you're also there, good evening as well. Lovely Leon George, good evening. Bernie Scotty, Jasid Leroy James, Pat Corbett, Pat, good evening to you and the family up there in the north area. Bernie Scotty, Lauren Lestrade, Brother Ashby, Scotland. Ashby, I got the information you requested. I will be sending that to you sometime later in the evening. All right. Joe Benjamin, yes, good evening to you as well. Kirsten Richards, and all my folks up there in the Cochrane area this time, good evening to you guys. Joseph Parillo, Harold Vidal, Brother Thaddeus James, I mentioned you already, he's saying he's locked. Kerry, Kerry White. Let me leave that that second name in between there. Lally, Kerry Lally White is that. Good evening to you. Victor James, Marva Privo, Desmond Benjamin, Desmond Abraham, sorry. We have who else? Sarah, yes, Siran, sorry. John Charles, Rose, Darren Yad, Colleen Ferrara, good evening to you. Victor James, Lendell Johnson, Karen Joseph, Brother Sherman Boston, I mentioned your name already, good evening to you, my bro. One that goes by the name of, Ragado Agado, you're also there, good evening to you. Patricia Williams, Shirley Giss, Theodora Anthony, Dorella Williams, Desi Vidal Williams, Benedict Charles, Sherwin John Baptist, Vibes Kazimi, Paula Lopin, Ethel Bella Joseph. Who else do we have here? Swinder Martin, June Charles, Daniel Benjamin, Juanita Prince, Viva Mamu, Gertrude Maxwell, Juanita Prince, Celia Godden, Adeline Shillingford, Gertrude Maxwell, Nerina Abraham, Emmanuel Cornelius, Larok Martin Caril, Conrad Vacher, Anthony Joseph, Emmanuel Cornelius, Velma Joseph, Jude Charles St. John, you're also there as well. Good evening. Who else we have here? Alan Pierre, June Felix Sylvester, Gerald Dorset, good evening to you, bro. Madeline Augustine, you're also there. Holly Hodge, yes. Dave Kazimi, Connie Stricker, Adelaide Paul. Who else we have here in our midst? We have also Amanda Halsborough, Linda Eugene Dubik, Annie James, Linda Eugene Dubik, Deborah Underwood Pascal, Daniel Benjamin, Rosemary Dejean Fontaine, Kyle Antoine, Irresistible Cordelia. We also have a Gon Claudion, that's it. Ivinia Joseph, Conrad Vasher, I think I mentioned that name already. Edna Ernest, Richie Charles, Anthony Joseph, Chandra Senval, Minerville Joseph, Ricardo, my brother Ricardo Sentimi, good evening to you as well. Everlasting Peter, not Rael, but Real McCoy, yes, Real McCoy. Maureen John Pierre, yes, is that? Wath, yes, good evening. Tony Sablon, Amoy Williams, Josette Etienne, Glenda Lugi, Carlos Sebastian, Gertrude Abraham Dejean. Gertrude, yesterday was your big day. Hope you had a good day. I'm Gertrude, good evening to you as well. Oyan William Basil, Nayanka Tobias, Indigenous Bushman, good evening to you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. We also have Myrtle Lucian is watching, Nazarene Prince, and folks, the list goes on and on and on. Amber Durant just tuning in at this time. Good evening to you, 200 plus. Clyde Gregoire just tuning in. Good evening to you, folks. All right, folks, as I always say, if I did not call your name, it's not that I intentionally did not call your name, but you know, in the interest of time, we have to make a move. All right, I know some folks are watching and listening. I can see Brother Margel Durant is there as well. Ian St. Mary, you just showed up. I know you guys are there listening and watching in what I normally call the incognito mode, meaning you're just there taking in information and not saying nothing at all. Frances Vidal, Jennifer Christmas James, you're also there watching from Houston, you said. All right, so Brother Carl Kofi James, seeing that I already gone through the housekeeping matters here, you can now send in that request, brother, so that you can join me live here, so that we can have that discussion get on the way, and we will, sort of wind it down by about 7:15 with you, just about there, all right, and head into other matters. Brother David Joseph, Lafoy Julian, just tuning in now. Good evening, good evening, good evening, all right. So folks, yes, please, thank you very much each and every time. Now, whilst I wait on brother James to come into that conversation, let me just give you guys an update as to the situation in Warner, where yours truly, I think 2 Wednesdays back, yes, 2 Wednesdays back, I interviewed a mother who claimed that she and her household, as it were, sorry, she and her household, they were basically going through some kind of demonic attack. That is what she claimed. Lots of you on the live feed then thought otherwise. In terms of an update, I made contact with her earlier today, and she told me that things are getting there. Those were words. We spoke of one daughter the last time live with her, but before today, I had made contact before that, and she gave me, or she indicated to me, that another daughter, an older daughter of hers as well, than the 25-year-old that was at the hospital at the time, was going through a similar situation. And so it was basically getting from bad to worse. That is when I spoke to her then. This afternoon, in terms of an upwell, this morning rather, when I spoke to her, she told me that, things are, still rough around the patches for her and the family, but it seems to be simmering down. Okay, it seems to be getting better. I know there are many I know there are many explanations out there. I know there are many situations out there. I know there are many power, as it were, out there. But I always want to err on the side of truth and correctness. So I will go with what the mother primarily said to me, that things are getting better. All right? So we continue to, lend our support to her as a people in one way, shape, or form. I also want to tell you alongside that as well, in terms of that update, that a number of persons have reached out to me as well, and have seemed to be saying or hinting on something or some other things. My ears is always open to everything, but it's not everything I normally like to spell out. But I just want to wish the mother well, her daughters well, and her entire family well at this time. All right? At the end of the day, the good Lord above know exactly what is happening, and in due time, I think everything will be exposed, everything will be brought to light, as it were, and whoever has to take blame for that situation, then, let the chips fall where they may. All right? But folks, it is a very, very ticklish matter. As I said, there are different stories going around, but I'm not one to push stories. So maybe you have heard more than me. But we just leave it at that. All right? But what I want to put out there on her behalf is that her family, her daughters, they are doing a bit better in the scheme of things. All right? And I think that should augur well for us here. Okay? And the family at this time. On the political landscape in Dominica, well, things remain the same as it were. there are some things, or something rather, that maybe soon in the near to this not too distant future, you will be made aware of something that may be, evolving politically in Dominica. And so just maybe you will be very interesting, or you'll be interested rather, in a very interesting situation that may be unfolding in Dominica pretty soon. All right, so again, Carl, if you're listening to me, please send me that request so I can have you be part and parcel of our conversation here. All right, so Tad, you're there. Please ask Brother Carl to send that request, okay? In the meantime and between time, not wasting time, then I will be moving on as soon as Brother Carl Kofi comes on. Then I will abort what I'm saying and come back to it after we're done with him, okay? But just to touch on the Domlek situation just a bit there, people. Lots of persons are of the mindset out there that maybe, just maybe, the situation is worse at Domlek than we have been told. All right, and I got that, and I'm getting that vibe on the ground, because lots of persons are saying, Lofty, it cannot be all of a sudden everything is falling apart like that where Domlek is concerned. And so the management team of Domlek, if you know there are some things that the public needs to know more of, please, I would, ask of you, request of you to please push it out there, because as though some things does not make sense. I know anything or everything is not perfect, but the way things are sort of crumbling and have crumbled around Domlek, as it were, it seems as if something is not meshing, something is still amiss. All right, so a lot of persons are of that mindset. Okay. Marcelin Ed was right here. Skeru, reset to Buzai. Se kosale ba kwatwavai. Trust Marcelin Edwards to put in that piece right there. We well saw the damaged pipe. I think that pipe is about what? 12 inches, 14 inches, 16 inches, if maybe 18 or more, right? That pipe, I think, is about 16 to 18 inches in diameter. That heavy pipe that supplies that water to that hydro. We saw that got busted, we saw that got damaged this week. And so Domlek again was put under extra pressure in terms of an update where that is concerned. I have not gotten an update on that as yet in terms of repair, but things, seems to be falling apart where Domlek is concerned. We wish the company well. As a result of that pipe busting, as it were, the Roseau River was basically brown on that day. What day it was? Thursday? Friday? Thursday? Yeah. The Roseau River, which is not very wide, very deep anymore because of what is happening in the heights, but the entire river was really, really brown. So all that debris, all that, muck, all that dirt that came down with that sudden gush of water from that busted pipe really did a number on the Roseau River flowing into the sea at Pottersville. Okay. There's a sort of, what I should say, there's a sort of phenomenon happening in Dominica now where when things happen, that persons, especially where companies are concerned, persons normally tend to blame everything else around them other than, laying that blame square in the shoulder and manning up and owning up and moving forward. Domlek, to me, people, I believe, is in a similar position right now, because you heard you heard the GM said over and over that at least 1 or 2 generators are there, and they really needed to be retired a long time ago, but for some reason they are still in operation, and we really, they really cannot give us what is due to us in terms of output anymore. As to why is that happening, what could have been done to alleviate that situation, then your rationale now is as good as mine. But I think somewhere along the line, Domlek and the officials have dropped that ball somewhere along the line. It cannot be as a company that everything was just, I'm hearing that people are waiting on geothermal, and so because of that wait now sorry, on geothermal, that the necessary investment or investments that had to go into Domlek as a company, those investments were not forthcoming. But from where I sit, it is very, very folly to be waiting on that aspect of energy right now called geothermal, which to me is nowhere close in sight. And so if it is, or if it was on that fallacy that the Dominica people were fooled, especially the folks of Domlek, to wait on that energy so that it can be tapped into the grill, or the grid rather, to produce or to give effect to what we have been waiting for some time, then that is not nowhere close on the horizon. So the management and staff of Domlek, please, I would advise you guys, the board in particular, the Labour Party installed board, I would advise you guys, in the interest of customers, please do something immediately to alleviate the people's plight in Dominica, because it cannot be, people, that the Dominican public has to be subjected to that situation time and times over. I'm moving across the country, and I'm hearing the plight of the people. Some persons say Domlek take their lights in the area this every day of the week. How can you manage your home? How can you manage your business? How can you just go about your ordinary life with that kind of inconvenience? And added to that, the solution or a solution is nowhere close in sight. We heard about temporary measures to get things back up on stream, but even those temporary measures as well, they are not kicking in fast enough or quick enough in the interest of the struggling people of Dominica. All right, so it is sad. It is sad, very, very sad. Folks, I want to touch on just some points here now that I think it is worth mentioning to you guys, as me being an electrical technician. I've been hearing a lot of complaints Domlek, and in terms of persons' appliances going bad, and I'm being told that Domlek basically put out their disclaimer that you should unplug, you should pull out, you should do this, you should do that. But sometimes it is easier said than done. As to whether these people will be compensated or whether we will be compensated in Dominica, then that is an answer that Domlek have to give to the people in very unambiguous ways. But what I just want to advise us here, people, is that, for example, I saw my brother Margel, for example. Let me use Margel Dura as an example. I saw Margel put a post on Facebook basically complaining, or saying rather, that Domlek, I didn't have lights or whatever, the power for the day or for the week, and my bill is still the same or is even more. And so Margel, for sure, I took note of your comment, and a number of other persons across the length and breadth of this country have been saying the same. Let me just try to plug in some reason why that is the case. Okay, I saw Brother Carl Kofi sent me that sent me that request. So I'm going to try to hook him up, folks. And please, if I forget, please remind me to get back to that point that I was just going to make to you guys. All right? Let me see if we can engage Brother Carl at this time. Yeah. Invite, let me see. Kofi James. I'm trying to send that request, Brother Carl, but something seems not to be going. Something seems not to be connecting here. Uh, give permission to send request. Yeah, okay. Let me just try and pull in. This brother here, your viewers add, oh shoot, add car, add car. Okay, let me see if we can get add that car here. Right. Okay.
All right, Lofty. And can you hear me, Lofty?
Okay, Carl, are you hearing me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Can you
I'm not
hear
hearing
me?
you as yet.
Oh, not hearing me. Hold on.
Yes. No. Yes. Okay, Carl, are you hearing me? Okay, but I am not hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
Um, what about now? You hear me now?
Come.
Yeah? What's going on now, right? Oh, man. I'm so.
Are you guys still hearing me now? Okay, Carl. Okay, Carl, are you hearing me? Okay, hold hold on. I'm not hearing you yet.
Can you now?
Hold on. Let me just boost up your audio. Hold on. I'm hearing you very faint, but just hold on. Let me boost up that audio. Please, people, now is not the time to be calling me. Please, 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 please. Okay, Carl, are you hearing me now? I'm not hearing you coming through. I'm not hearing you coming through. Can you hear me now, Carl?
I'm hearing you. I've been hearing you, but
okay, okay.
Like
I am hearing you now, but I'm hearing you now. Yes, but I need you now. I need to get that audio of yours to pass through this system so that the persons can hear you out there. Let me just hold on. Hold on.
Okay. All right.
Yes, are you here now? Okay. Okay, I think we got that right now. Yes. Testing 1, 2. Are you hearing me, Carl?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay. Let me just make sure I'm hearing on my monitors. Okay, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Yes, Carl. Good evening to you, my brother.
Good evening, brother.
Sorry, sometime, when we try to hook up like that, technology normally does its thing, but you are there now. I'm hearing you loud and clear. The people are hearing you loud and clear now.
All right.
So again, brother, I want to say good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening, man. Many blessings to you.
Carl.
And your listening audience and your viewing audience.
Yes, 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 Carl. For the people, Carl, who may not know you, I'm sorry the persons cannot view you. That aspect of it cannot kick in tonight, but they're hearing you, as I said. For the persons out there who may be listening that don't know who am I speaking to, can you just, give us a brief intro of yourself, brother?
All right. Basically, yeah, my government name is really Carl, and yeah, I adopted Kofi when I was at early days, second form at DGS, and yeah, so I've grown up as Kofi and has transformed it onto my legal documents while in the US, not through lawyers, but just because just through routine. So yes, I go by Carl Kofi James, and so I'm a founding and former member of Rosamond Branches, grew up in Kingfield, spent most of my life in the and then migrated to the United States with the band, and currently based in the suburbs of Chicago, just outside of Chicago, about 40 minutes outside of Chicago. Basically, while I was in DA, I was employed at Jazz Garraway Tobacco Factory for a couple of years, and then joined the employment team with Dominic, as an employee at Dominic Power Station from Korea. Yeah, so basically I did about 3 to 5 years as an assistant operator at the power plant, and I worked there for 14 years, so the rest of that many years I was an operator at the power station, manning the power station, and knowing a little something about the diesel generation, hydro, we have to be well acquainted with the general schematic system in terms of network for distribution and all that. As an operator, we have to be, kind of this with that.
So, Carl, at what?
So yeah, that's basically who I am: a musician, singer, songwriter, or contractor doing construction. I'm a jack of all trades, kind of.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, man. Thanks for that intro. Thanks for that. Let me ask you, Carl. When you left Domlec, where were you in terms of the scale? What height you reach at Domlec as an employee?
Well, like I said, I was an operator at the power plant. I was an operator. So basically, what my job was to man the power station with an assistant in terms of generating electricity and controlling the panels and distribution, and making sure that the machines were running and the data on the machines were taken every half hour, and to cite problems or and liaise with the people controlling the network outside. Basically, if there was a problem, we'd call the engineer, call the manager, or somebody, or the team outside, and we would do a dialogue via the radio and telephone to, cover whatever situation or to facilitate them doing their work in terms of switching of areas and stuff like that. So as an operator, you have a certain amount of responsibility, because there are times during the night when it's just you and an assistant, so you have to be on your P's and Q's all the time, just making sure things were running right.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Carl, you have been listening, you have been watching things unfolding in Dominica Re Domlec. That is your old employment, as it were, company. What can you make sense of what you're hearing, of what you're seeing, of what is unfolding?
Okay, I've listened to many people, give their opinions and, share their grievances. And most times, when you hear stuff, your grievances will take over you because you're at a disposition, and you're not following the operation as to how things happen and why it happened. But you are disgruntled because your service has been interrupted.
Yeah. So
I can put that aside and I can understand the people. But the situation that we're in today, I think, at Domlec is partly due to, I want to bring Domlec to the maximum, like totally. But the authority is responsible for, increasing capacity or making sure that you had a contingent plan to hold stuff together over time. That was never done. So I've been hearing talk about like the generators being X amount of years, like 27 years old and blah, blah, and all that stuff. Yes, the generators are that old, and we should have had, something put in place that we don't overrun these generators over time, right? So in other words, the generator it still has the capability of producing electricity. So you don't want to just discard it, right? But what should have been done is that new generators or turbines should have been put in place or implemented to the system to have things spread over Dominica, whereby we not going through problems that we're going through today.
So
you see what I'm saying?
So you're talking about over the years, some substations, as it were, should have been put in place.
Yeah. I mean, yes, and that's another thing. You cannot just rely on putting everything in a central location like Roseau or just loader, right? We back in the days when I worked there, I know we had a power station at Portsmouth with a small generator that you just give it. It helped out on occasions.
Okay.
We had one in Marriott area, right? So what it was is that we totally probably just got rid of that over the years, and nothing was put in place. Now we hear a lot of talk about other source of electricity and stuff, or clean energy and stuff like that. That's another thing. All these things should have been like solar and wind. We should have explored that and have certain things, in place. We shouldn't be talking about that now and just depending on geothermal. And we know we've spent a lot of money on geothermal exploration. There's not 1 megawatt of electricity anytime soon.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So like I said, DOMLEC plus the authorities, whoever is responsible with DOMLEC, that should have been over the years been in place. So the crisis we're having now, which we will always have, because nature is going to take a toll on your generators, right? You're going to have unforeseen circumstances arising, and when you don't have the option of stopping a generator and putting a generator down for scheduled maintenance, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're running at a risk. Now, another disadvantage we have, and I hear people and engineers and people are going to mass thing talking about, well, the hydro and rain, and it's raining and we get in water. And we had a disadvantage, and I don't know who is honest enough to say it. When I worked at the power station and there was rain, which was supposed to be a good thing for the hydro to maximize that water, we had a lot of shortcomings, you know what I'm saying? Because we had the way the hydro, where it is located and the way it is situated in the scheme of things as to the flow of water is not something that we can rely on. You understand? Because of where it is. For instance, when it rains heavily and you're getting a lot of water, you're gonna get a lot of debris and stuff coming down. And we had gates like they had, sections where you would cut off debris, don't allow it to get into the reservoir that we save in water to man the hydro. But then sometimes there's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? We had crews out there calling them at all hours to go and try, but it's dangerous. Sometimes you find they couldn't even take care of that. So what the option was, we had to either drop the load on the hydro, or sometimes even shut it off completely. So water was going to waste anyway. All right? Another disadvantage, the amount of water that the generator, the turbine would use to generate whatever amount of electricity or kilowatts. The input was way too high, more than the output, what we'll get for like 1,000 gallons or what. Like the ratio wasn't right. So if you were to run the generator let's say you have your backup, your tanks, and so your water reservoir filled, right? And you were to run it hard for 24 hours or go into 2 days, it would use up that water at a rate that was not coming in to replace it. So you could run hard for 2 days and have to stop and allow water to build up. So all that time, diesel generators would have to come on, and it would be good weather for the generator, for the turbine to be running at low down, right?
Yes.
But because the system wasn't designed to recycle that water that went through the turbine, everything that goes through the turbine goes down the river and is gone. So that was another thing. But I guess at the time when they got the hydro plant going, that was the only option. They didn't, and it would have probably been too expensive, as many years ago, to probably set up something where you can pump the water and recirculate water and reuse the water. You know what I'm saying? So hydro was a good thing. It's helping out. But for the amount of water that we boast of having, that should have been in an area that could be dammed and like sitting somewhere where water can just be around the power station, the turbine, and go recirculating and have, or have a number of turbines along the line. So when it goes through that one, that other one is getting water. Okay. Something of that sort. But right now, that's where we're at, and that's where we're at. There's no backup. And when I hear that, I feel, pretty sad about the situation in Dominica, knowing that I left there like 25 years ago, you know what I mean? And that's, we're still talking about load shedding and stuff like that.
So, Brother James, if, for example, your opinion would be sought on that matter, would you still continue, or would you advise that we still continue with this hydro system and generator?
Well, yes, hydro is a good thing, because for Dominica, we have the water. We can look into finding a better way to dam the water at different points in the rivers. Right now I don't know, because I heard a lot about dredging and all these things and reducing the vegetation around our rivers and doing a lot of madness that has caused our water level at the rivers to decline drastically over time, right?
Yes.
So we have had some bad human practices and governmental policies and a lot of things that has affected where we could have been with the amount of money that I feel went through that government, the government that's been there for the past 20-something years. A lot could have been done in terms of hydro. You could have smaller plants at different rivers, maybe set up different dams, and you don't have to do 10 megawatts, but you could do 3 megawatts, let's say somewhere in the interior, and separate the power lines in such a way that you can man a certain area and you can isolate and feed from the different stations that are on the hydro. I mean, it would take a lot, but money is passing the government's hands. So I hear a lot of nonsense, and plus profits have been boosting over. Some of that should have been back into the system. I'm a shareholder, and I get a little pittance now and then from things, but I would rather know that Dominicans are getting service,
Yes.
and I don't get any profit than, I get $100 and people cry. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so just bad policies over the years, man. That's what happens where we are right now, straight up.
So in your mind, Carl, based on what you have been hearing and seeing, as I said, do you think that somebody or some people dropped the ball somewhere?
Yes, I heard some revelations. I have already confirmed, the revelations that I heard recently. But if such is the case, where Dominic authorities have been putting requests for, to improve stuff, but because of geothermal and political games and gimmicks, things have not been considered or even, attempted to be corrected. That's a shame. That is shameful. You know what I mean? And I don't know what is the big deal about waiting on geothermal and your people suffering. And we've wasted so many millions of dollars on just boring holes. And there's so much that can happen after that exploration for geothermal that we haven't even wrapped our heads around. But some people find that's where they want to go. I don't know if it's because of it's just another way to wash some money down in some drilling, underground. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I feel like there are bigger agendas behind certain ventures that our government undertakes straight up. There's something in it for people. It cannot be that the country is suffering and you insist on doing things that are not benefiting the people and having people balling. There's something's wrong, definitely.
In your mind, something is wrong.
Yeah, something is definitely wrong.
Carl,
Yeah.
I know you live in the US now, right?
Yeah, man.
The question that I want to pose to you now, with a company like Domlek going through that situation now, I know things happen differently in Dominica, but do you think that some persons should be made to answer questions, or further, even some heads should have rolled in terms of the company degrading into where we are now?
Well, yeah, heads, a lot of heads should have been rolling a long time, you know. And I'm not talking about Domlek. You know what I mean? Because there are people in authority in Dominica who for years have not been doing their work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A lot of people in the government system not doing their work. And somehow some of them getting promoted, some of them they calling them back even after they failed terms in office when they didn't do anything or bring anything to Dominica, you know, and they're called back as allies, as this and that. I mean, it's just a Dominica is just a special, different kind of country, and I don't know what it's going to take for we, the people of Dominica, to wake up and realize that the people responsible for governing us in Dominica are not serving the purpose for which they have been put in office. They are not. You know what I mean? And we have to get out of the mindset that, oh, well, giving us a little something and we don't know what the other one will give us, or they promising us. We've been living on promises for too long. As for heads rolling, sometimes, you know, you have managers like at Domlek. I wouldn't put that on like I heard Miss Mackenzie came and Mrs. Mackenzie tried to explain certain things. And under pressure, she might not have said exactly how it should go, or she was kind of maybe holding back on saying certain things because, you know, you're under a system that things can go haywire and very easy. So, but I think she was quite honest in some of the things that she delivered, and she made a revelation again that they had put a request for XXX and it was swept out or nothing happened. So if she wants to quit is a different thing, but the pressure shouldn't be on her, like saying, well, she should be fired, or I hear people saying this one should be fired and don't like because of blah, blah. If you have an authority over people and you come with a proposal and they refuse to act on what you're proposing, or they don't see what you're recommending, it's not about you anymore. But when these things happen, we Dominicans have to come to the realization that we are being governed under a fake democracy, which is really a dictatorship, so to speak. We live in some crucial times in Dominica. People don't want to say it. I can say anytime. You know, we're just not doing what we're supposed to do in terms of electing the people that we need. Well, we know why we're not getting the people that we try to elect. We know that. You know, we have a big program on reform and all that nonsense, right? Yeah. So we know that part. But a lot of things in Dominica can work, but I think the authorities, the government, had put their hands in too many of these pots that are not in their kitchen. You know? Yeah. Yeah, they want to cook the food in every kitchen. That cannot be right.
Yeah. There's this body called, there's this intermediary body, this quote unquote watchdog organization called the IRC, that is basically there to see what goes on at Domlek in the interest of the customers, it is said. What are your thoughts on that company?
Well, from what I've gathered and what I've heard, it is still a body that the government is controlling. The people there are looking out for the government. That cannot be. You understand? Mm-hmm. We have to do separate things. When you put an organization in place to look out for the interests of a company or a particular group of people, it cannot be that you're going to put people there to look after these people, but the people, they have to come to go back to are the same ones who put them there. That cannot be, just like in the electoral reform scenario. The government cannot be leading or deciding who come to represent the people when you have a body that's supposed to get, independent minds to give them decisions on things.
True.
The government cannot go and get its own people, have liaise with them people how they want, while, after consultation, during consultation, tell them, being responsible for paying them, and expect the people that doing the survey and the thing to report on the people's behalf. No, they're working for the government. So anything they do is in favor of that government, the person that's paying them. So the body they have to say that is supposed to be monitoring stuff from Domreg and making sure it's in people's interest, it's null and void because it is the government, it is another government organization, it cannot work. Straight up, that cannot work.
So you're saying there's a clear case of conflict of interest? Conflict
of interest. All along, and all along it's been in Dominica. Everything I'm hearing and seeing, that's exactly what's going on in all scenarios.
Wow.
People responsible for getting money from the sales of our diplomatic or passport citizenship are the same people that go and decide what kind of reform you get. What do you think they're going to do something to take themselves food out of their hands or money out of their pocket? Conflict of interest. I mean, when are we going to wake up and trust me, okay. Anyway, let's get back to your program. I don't get emotional.
Well, Carl, I know you have more to say, but in terms of your final comments, anything you just want to wrap up with here, bro?
Yeah, so what I would recommend, I mean, to the people responsible for the electricity and generation of electricity, we have other forms of clean energy. Solar farm, you know what I mean? We have wind turbines. We need to get some. Right now, solar panels and stuff. That thing is getting like everybody, everywhere. Not just on your house and so. So we need to look into that and see ways that we can introduce that into Dominica and stop relying on this fossil fuel thing. But then again, let me tell you something. Who's responsible for Petrocarri in Dominica right now? Whose company is it?
Well, it was supposed to be a government-owned institution, but I've been hearing other things of late.
But individuals are profiting from it. So more diesel and stuff that come and this and that and all the cocomaca. Somebody is while they're suffering, some people are going to benefit. I heard the Prime Minister made a statement about he spoke to whoever in Venezuela. Dominica doesn't have a fuel problem. So why is that talk even coming in the equation of solving a generating problem or to provide electricity? It's not about, we never said Dominica was short on diesel.
Well, he said, if I should quote him, is some technical people who will come in to help with the generation part of it. That's what he said.
But so without technical people, Dominica, technical, you see that business of isolating our brilliant minds, right? By one man just making a decision and talking to his friends and thing and making things go so that only his friends and people he has aligned with benefit from Dominica's money. That nonsense must stop. We don't need anybody to come from wherever to come and tell us how to go about getting backup generators, installing. When you start to the technical aspect and you have a team, you contract let's say some people to install your generators. Yes, I can understand you get a team from wherever. Like I know back in the day we had Caterpillar and we had a crew from Barbados come there and work side by side with fellas like Keith Matthew and Otto and Groove, yes. Our engineers were right there with their people. So it was like a team working. They come and they help us. We commission the machine and we take over from whatever. But our guys were working back but for consultation, every time we have a problem, You cannot run to get somebody from overseas like as if our engineers and our people in Dominica don't have the mind to tell you what is the problem and how to go forward. I mean, we have to come on, man. We're sick in Dominica, boss. We're just taking a lot of things. I mean, a lot of nonsense going on in Dominica. Straight up, lucky. I'm not a man that like to see nonsense go on, and it's just foolishness.
Callum,
Man.
A matter of fact, in winding up here, it was said publicly by the government of the day that with Petrocarib being brought to Dominica, then even customers would feel that in their light bills, in that the diesel run generators, Domlec could now purchase this fuel at much cheaper rates, which will in fact benefit the consumers. Of that, we have not seen that in terms of a reality.
You're not going to see that, Lottie. You're not going to see that because, again, what they should have been doing is looking for efficiency in terms of a different type of generation of electricity, not sticking to diesel. We had them already. They serve their purpose. We can maintain them, but we should be looking into solar, and wind turbines and hydro. Get hydros in certain areas of Dominica where there's water flow, and we can man 1 or 2 small power stations. With that getting more diesel and cheaper and things, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen, my boy. Because if the generators are old, like we say, they're going to be burning fuel, because as they get older, they have to use more oil, more fuel, more everything to give you the same kilowatt they were giving you for 5 gallons.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So
I
they were
agree.
giving you using 5 gallons to give you 1 kilowatt. Now they're using 25 because they cannot get the maintenance that they need on them at scheduled times. You cannot shut them down and say, well, we're going to overhaul, we're going to rebuild. There's no time for that. It's just a constant looking of the generator. Whereas if they had options where we have 5 other different generators of some sort generating electricity, you can say, okay, right now for the sun blazing, we have a lot of energy on solar. We can rest the diesels, let's do some maintenance on them and have them there like backup when things are not,
Yes.
So we can come on there. But you cannot just rely on diesel too as your leader all from after how many years, man? Nonsense.
So,
and the sad thing is that, look, our population, the use of power in Dominica hasn't really grown to say, well, by because we have development and we have machine and factories and nothing in it. That has nothing to do with nothing, no economic development that will say, well, right now that our grid is like overloaded because we have 5 factories doing this, or we have this business running all that all through the night. People are operating a 24-hour shift system now, so we're consuming more. There's nothing like that. The economy is just stagnant. It's in reverse. It's declining, and crime is increasing, and we are paying power. Man, listen. It's bad in Dominica, man, and the people need to wake up, and they have to stop smelling coffee. Coffee not doing nothing for them. They need to drink something.
they have to start to drink it. They have to start to drink some of it.
Yeah, they have to start to drink something, man. Drink something that have a pep, man. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because trust me, man, it's bad.
All right, my brother, I want to thank you very much, bro, for speaking with us this evening. Thank you very much for taking time off and just coming to, sort of educate us and enlighten us.
I'm no expert.
No, but experience come.
I have hands-on knowledge of the operation at the power station. I mean, down to tripping of system. And before I go, one more thing. Even let's take away what's going on right now. The idea of like system tripping and so the systems are going to trip on a normal, nice generator, good generator or not generator, because we have protective stuff in place on the network, on the schematic of the distributing the power. So you have overcurrent relay, you have earth fault relays. So these things are there to safeguard the people, the consumers, right? And at the same time protect the equipment like your transformers, your breakers that feed the electricity. So some people need to just relax sometimes. Now I can understand they have no reason to cry because it has been proven that we don't have generating capacity, right? But if we had normal generating capacity and they're like an outage because a vehicle hits a pole, it's not something that we blame them for. It's a protection on the system. Wires are going to come to the ground. You're going to have faults. You're going to have live wires. It cannot stay live. People might get electrocuted. So there are certain systems in place, but people don't know, consumers don't know. As soon as the power goes up, they just figure well, it's done like that, switch it up. But some things are, nature do their thing and stuff, all right? I want some people to know that.
Yeah.
But voice of grievance is if the power company and the government cannot get their act together, the people should do what they have to do to make them hear their voices.
True.
It's simple.
Simple as that.
We need better for Dominica.
Yeah. My brother, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you indeed.
Yeah, man, blessings always. One love, man.
I'm going to play a track I know you love very much.
Do that, love.
Still pause.
Yeah, man, you know already.
Tyrant.
All right, yeah, man. You know that.
Bless up.
Blessings. All right.
That's a favorite number of my brother Carl Kofi James, basically just talking to us his experience as a former employee of Domlec, right? This one is entitled Tyrant from Steel Pulse. Take a listen, folks. We'll be back in just a bit.
Tyrant, hallelujah, jump and shout, rising, yes, without a doubt. You better watch out to the rulers. Never let the politician grant you a favor, coming with the blood sex schemes that they have to control you forever and ever. Shall never be conquerors. Well, to that places, straight to the heart of the Babylon. As I am a majesty with us, the tyrant, kick them out. Hallelujah.
Tyrant, this one is entitled Kick Them Out from Steel Pulse. Folks, yes, we are back here live with you. Again, I want to thank my brother Carl Kofi James for speaking with us live right here this evening, basically telling us of his experience or experiences, as it were, as a former employee of Domlec and the situation that we are facing today. All right, experience in any field counts, and I can tell you, seeing brother Kofi back then in his greens, whenever he was needed, always very punctual and always diligent at what he did back then, fought on behalf of the people of Dominica through the company that he worked, Domlec. All right, as you heard him say rightly so, in this day and age, we should basically be moving away, or we should have moved away already from these, old-fashioned ways of providing electricity for Dominica and Dominicans. All right. So thank you very much, Brother Carl. Till we hear from you some other time. All right, folks. It is already 25 minutes past 7. We have like 35 more minutes to go, and that is where now I want to switch the conversation now to, as I said before. Oh, before I switch, let me just go back to the conversation that I was having with you just before we engage Brother James. A lot of folks have been complaining about they have not been having power for a number of days, a number of times during the day, and the bill is still the same or even going higher. And yes, that will happen at times, because from a technical standpoint now, let me tell you what happens at times when your power goes off and you see that bill keep rising. For example, people, you know a lot of the consumption in your home is your electrical or electronic devices. You have televisions, fans, radios, freezers, washing machines, whatever it is, refrigerators, whatever it is. For example, in particular, I want to zero in now on refrigerators and deep freezers. If you have those in your businesses or at your home, for example, let us say the power goes off 8 o'clock in Dominica. That power comes back on about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So you're looking at that stint of day that you have no power. Your refrigerator in particular and your deep freezer, they are not functioning at that time. What happens when the power comes back on is that these cooling appliances in particular, I must say, they have to now adjust or readjust themselves so that they can use up power now supplied by Domlec when it comes back on to reach their maximum cooling temperature. Most of the refrigerators, freezers they're making now, they have what you call cutoff sensors, meaning when they reach their maximum temperature in terms of freezing point or cooling point, in the case of a refrigerator, you will hear that refrigerator cut off. You'll hear that compressor go off. What is happening there is that the fridge or the freezer is sensing that it reached its peak in terms of its coolness. So your stuff in your freezer will be freezing okay. Your stuff in your refrigerator will be cooling okay. So the fridge or freezer cuts off itself. When it comes back on, let's say you open the door, your child open the door, whatever it is, it comes back on. Or even, you know, after a period of time, half an hour, 45 minutes, it should come back on to maintain that freezing or cooling point, because the purpose of it doing that cycle over cycle over cycle, it wants to maintain a certain temperature, especially if you calibrate it to a certain temperature. It wants to maintain that temperature for you. Now what happens when Domlec takes their power? As I said before, for the day, that fridge, that freezer in particular will not be functioning. When the power comes back, wherever that refrigerator was in terms of its freezing or cooling point when the power went off, during the course of the day, it is not in cycling motion going on and off, going on and off. So that temperature in that freezer or that fridge drops so low, all right, that when the power comes back on, that appliance have to now, quote unquote, reboot or recalibrate itself. So it now have to be sucking or using much more power to get back to where it was when light went off. All right. Now imagine that situation continues day in, day out like we have been having. So obviously, what will happen, it's like, to me, is a win-win for Domlec, in that they are taking your power. When the light comes back on, when they send it back to you, your appliances in your home, in particular your cooling appliances, now have to suck or use from their system much more power to get back to where it was before. All right, so that is why now you will when you look at your bill, it will seem as if, well, not seem as if, the reality is that you will be paying just as much or even more when the power is off. And for some people, they cannot understand that, they cannot, you know, fathom that as to what is happening there. And so they make noise with Domlec. Some people come and read meter and whatever it is, but basically people, that is, I just say, I would, you know, sort of educate us on that point as to that fact that is happening. What should happen in the interest of the customer now, not being with that service for a couple hours or pretty close to a day or whatever it is? What should happen? Domlec now should put in some kind of system in place to compensate you and I, the customer, because at the end of the day, we were without that service. And as I told you before, having that service restored now, it is good. We are now going to feel it in our pockets. And so, to me, the IRC or that regulatory body, I would really want to have them have a conversation around that fact in the interest of the customer. Because, like for example, I said Margel quoted on Facebook the other day. Some persons are really struggling under that situation. And with that problem we are having now, not having no solution, permanent solution that is in sight, we are in that for the long haul. All right, we are in that for the long haul. Folks, you may be hearing some rumbling over my head. We used to say when you're small, God is setting his table. All right, but I'm hearing some thunder above. All right, so basically that is a rumbling you're hearing there. So folks, is nothing really you can do about that. That is just the way that the system is set up. And so what can be done is from Domlec as a company's end to put in place some form of compensation for you, the public out there. And these companies, most likely, they will not do it unless and until we as the people press for that to happen. So at the end of the day, our voices matter, no matter where the situation is affecting us. All right. So I just have to punch that there so we can sort of, wrap our heads around what may be happening there. All right. Let us move now, 7:30. Let us move to the situation with crime and violence in our country. Dominicans, this morning we woke up to the very sad and unfortunate news of two young men in the prime of their life being cut off, as it were, from this side of life. And we have to ask ourselves a question of questions in this country. What is really happening in this country where young men in particular just choose to be so violent, so brutal, so unkind to their kind? Based on what I'm hearing, there was this jam or whatever session by this garage place in the city, and it is alleged, I wasn't there, so I really don't know what went on, but based on persons who were there or persons who heard from, persons who were there, it is alleged that one young man got into some kind of fracas, some altercation with another young man. This young man, it is said, pulled out his gun and basically just killed in plain sight the other man who he had that altercation with. Simple as that. Having done that, this young man fell to the ground, basically just gasping for breath, and in a matter of minutes he was no more, because of the number of gunshots I heard was about 4 of them pumped in his body from that man, it is alleged. I wasn't there. Now, most of these young men in Dominica these days, when they go into these fetes and parties and occasions of see who in, they normally go in what you call gangs or groups. And so it is said this young man who got shot and fell to the ground, his gang member or his people who were, rolling with, as they say in Dominica, in retaliation, seeing that one of them, one of the friends, or maybe a brother or whoever it is, on the ground, in blood, basically said, took matters in his own hands and shot the other person who shot. And it is said the person fled the scene. Yeah? So right about now in Dominica, you have 2 young men in the prime of their life, as I said, gone to the grave, and 1 young man is on the run as we speak. Okay, so that is basically what I'm picking up, and that opens up, folks, a a real question now as to the crime and violence situation in our country. What is really and truly going on? And some of us, some of the political elites in Dominica, like to cower under that excuse that it happens all over. Many moons ago, I remember clearly well, this brother, Mr. Severin, said that Dominica, if we don't watch ourselves as a country, we will be surpassing places like Jamaica and places like Trinidad and other countries per capita as it pertains to crime and violence. And this brother was taken to task for it. But today, his words are becoming truer and truer and truer. Young men today cannot seem to get around solving their disputes. If a limb doesn't come out, if a gunshot is not busted, if a bottle or whatever is not broken and cutting and slashing and whatever it is, it's like we are treating each other like, I don't want to say animals because animals don't behave so. When you look at animals, they are much more cordial with each other. We are much too barbaric in this country. Something is amiss, people, that is not making much sense to us as a people. And we may lay blame here, lay blame over there, lay blame everywhere. But the situation continues to get worse. The situation continues to get worse, people. And it is very sad what is happening in this country. Very sad. And it seems as if the powers that be don't care. Right about now, the young men in particular in Dominica, it is like the wild west system is kill or be killed. That is the MO. When is this going to stop? When is this scourge going to be curbed, people? When? Just when? In the interest of us as a people. And if it is not stopped, if it is not nipped in the bud, sooner rather than later, you and I will not be able to put our foot outside to walk in the public and not watch over our shoulders. You're hearing of the brazen criminal activities that is taking place in Dominica now. Criminals are getting much more brave. They are up. No longer things happening in night anymore in Dominica under the cover of that. It is happening now in big broad daylight. And the police department that is supposed to be there to maintain or help maintain some law and order, to me, that organization is neither here nor there where crime is concerned. And so we, the citizenry now, have to be concerned about where this country is going. We have to be. We have to be, people. And it is very sad where we are as a people. I'm telling you, every time you open that phone or that computer, whatever it is, you have to see something to break your heart about that country. Something have to pop up to be making, to be making bigger news or greater news than the one before. And it is sad, very sad, where we are as a people. Very sad. And so we may want to lay blame, as I said before, But at the end of the day, each one of us have a responsibility as a citizen of the country to do what we can do in our power to help the situation. And so the kind of disrespect that goes on in the society today, it is just mind-boggling. It is baffling. But we have to start somewhere, because left alone, trust me, I told a young lady since in 2014 that the way that I'm seeing my country being run in 2014, people, that's what, 9 years ago? Yes. We are as a country on the trajectory to be a failed state. And it is not far. It is right there. We are right there. Because some things that are happening in the country only happen in countries where the state has failed the people and they are declared as failed states. That unwarranted everything. That open daylight everything. And so Dominicans, it is not because it has not reached your doorstep. It is not because your child has not been involved in it in one way, shape, or form. You are safe. Nobody is safe in that country. Absolutely none. Even if you have your firearm or your dogs or your fences, you are not safe, people. And so personally, if you ask me, I believe right about now, we need to start to fix this country as a people. And how can we start to fix it? As they say, if a fish is rotten, it starts to rotten from the head. And I make no apology for my statement in that the government we have had for the past 20-something years, they are rotten. It is rotten. The actors in there, they are rotten to the core. And so we are reaping the results today. These people pay very little respect for what is happening to the ordinary man and woman on the streets. It's like as if they're living in one world and the ordinary people are living in another world and in the same country. It cannot continue to happen. And when some of you like to have the attitude now as see and blind, hear and deaf, what else do you expect? So don't wait for your son or daughter to be gunned down in the street for you to go into that lamenting or sober mood. No, if it hasn't reached home as yet, there's time to do something about it. There's too much. Too many guns people on that street. Too many. Too many guns on that street. So I have to ask myself a question now. Is that a system that is set up to basically dictate what happens in the country? I'm asking myself that question. Because the reality is in that country, people. Today you are here, tomorrow you may be no more. The rate at which we are going, today you may be here, alive and well, and tomorrow you may be no more. And that is a sad reality in the country. And crimes come in different forms, different packages. So we have white collar crimes in the country where politicians now do whatever they feel. And obviously that trickles down to the ordinary man. It trickles down. Dominicans, I still think there is some time. left to salvage what is left of this country. I still believe so. But it is up to you and I to do what we have to do to get the results we are seeking. And my first order of business, it is to remove the people who have been at the helm of this country for the past how many years. It has not worked, it will not work, and it's like, don't expect anything better. Don't expect anything better, people. It will get worse. When you have a governance system that has a posture of not dealing with things head on or dealing with things on an equitable basis, what do you expect? We are dealing with adults. We are dealing with adults, people. And adults all the time, sometimes, most time have their way or want to have their way and not go the right way. Even children sometimes take advantage of parents when they want to have their way. So how much more for adults now? If the system, that is why we have systems, that is why we have organizations, that is why we have things put in place to keep society together. But if these things are falling apart, if these organizations are falling apart, if these systems are neither here nor there, trust me, we are experiencing what we're experiencing today because systems are just not put in place. That's what it is. So when you have at the helm, you have a government authority doing what they want, saying what they want, manipulating the systems that are there to keep things in order. What do you expect? And we have many examples of that. Many examples of that, what I'm saying. A government system is manipulating the systems over and over again. Case in point of late, our so-called free and fair process for elections. You had the government injecting itself in a process that they were not supposed to and made a real mock out of that process. Look, you have a presidential, as it were, nominee. I'm hearing is involved in some kind of whatever. Again, when will we get it right as a people? So all these systems that are there to keep checks and balances and to make sure everything go in a particular order, these systems are being systematically dismantled every day. When last, people, did you hear the election of a president in Dominica had so much melee to go with it? So much political melee, I must add, to go with it. You have tonight in the reserve, I'm being told. It's like a political fete happening up there, where rum and it's just everybody going all out to elect a president that's supposed to be serving everybody in the country. Isn't that a sign that our systems are falling apart? And you have people of high repute, people of caliber, people who's supposed to be speaking and doing against these things, and they're with their lip zip. Yes, they are there with their lips zip, saying nothing at all. Afraid of the reprisals, afraid of the victimization. And that is what it is. But Dominicans, we still, I believe, as I said before, we still have what it takes. So trust me, whenever that opportunity is given to you, and it is there, it will present itself pretty soon. Whenever that opportunity is given to you, trust me, embrace it with 2 hands and 2 feet. Let's better our country. We have been in that cesspool for much too long. Dominica cannot go any lower. We are the lowest ebb now. We cannot go any lower, people. And I say that without any reservation. Because you see it, you hear it, you feel it. That's what it is. Folks, it is 10 minutes to eat. Let me just move away now to another area that I want you to just leave us with on that high note in terms of using what we have. And mostly all of us in Dominica, God has blessed us with a voice. And you know how powerful is your voice, people? You know how powerful is your voice when that voice is taken away from you. That is when you know how powerful that voice can be. And for too long, some of you, knowing better, have not used your voice to make a difference. A voice is a very powerful thing, people. It is very powerful. When you speak, people can get a sense or direction as to where your mindset is at. I know some persons are good at, disguising it or faking it. But most times it's only when you speak, you yourself will even have an idea where you are going. It's by that spoken word. And some of us have been so good at stifling that spoken word for so long, where it matters. Some of us speak, but not speak to the situation that confronts us as a people. So some of us speak, but we hide in a corner to speak. Some of us speak, we speak only in the confines of our homes. Some of us speak, but we speak only in the confines of our churches, in these buildings. Some of us speak, but we speak to our friends. But there is this impact that must be created when people speak in a collective voice. Speaking to a situation, whatever it is, good or bad, evil or good, whatever it is. Some of us, if the good Lord above take that voice from us, you will not be missing much, because some of us don't use it. I'm not saying or suggesting your voice need to be taken, but I'm just illustrating that point, that some of us are so mummified, we are so silent, that if one day we get up and we lose that, then it will be like, nothing new. Because persons have not been accustomed of hearing us speaking, using that God-given voice to fix the ills or try to fix the ills in our country. So it is all well and good for me to talk. It is all well and good for Tad to talk. It is all well and good for whoever to talk. But it is much better. It is the best, I must admit, when all of us come in unison and deal with our problems head on. Unison or being in unity for a cause, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in uniformity. No. So I may disagree with you on a point or couple points, but that doesn't mean you and we cannot come together, although with our disagreements, and speak to fixing our country. And that is where now we have to bridge that gap. We have to cross over that line, that political, partisan, crass line. So labor rights, so-called labor rights, supposed to be able to speak now to a situation that affects them in the country negatively, and speak with a voice that the authorities will hear. The other rights should be able to do the same as well. But some of us, we are not using that voice, which is so critical in the element of change. It's so critical. And so, folks, I want to leave us tonight by asking us to let us, those of us who have not been using that voice in the proper manner, let us start to do it. Some of you guys use your voice to gossip, to malparler, as it were, people. To always be in a soup, always be in other people's business that you're not supposed to be in. I am putting it to you, that is not the most effective way or ways to use your voice. According to the song, leave people business alone. The country is our business as a people. Let us use our voice in that department. Some of you, as I said, is like you are non-Dominicans where Dominica is concerned. You guys go to work, you come back to at home, it's like nothing. Where's that tact? Where's that citizenship role? Where's your responsibility to Dominica as a citizen now? Please, people, those of us who have not been doing that, I really beseech you to search deep, go deep, or go deeper and speak. Your voice, my voice, our voices, it's a very, very powerful thing. Never underestimate that. And so let us rise to the occasion now as a people to speak to the situations that confront us in Dominica in a way to help in fix our problems. Whatever is working for us, we can speak to our situations to better it. Whatever is not working for us, let us speak to our situations to get solutions. Trust me, speaking and acting, they are like inseparable twins. The only reason why some of you have not been so mobilized to act in defense of country is because you guys have been so silent for so long that it is acting as a crippling agent to get you off your comfort zones. And it's on that note, people, I want to leave us tonight. It is 2 minutes to 8 o'clock. I'm a person of time because I know you make time to be here, and I know you have other things to do. I can speak now till about 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, but I don't want to abuse you like that. All right? And maybe some of you might, fall asleep on me. So, folks, that is it. Tomorrow on the Civic Vibes program, people. And sorry for not taking some of your comments because, of the time constraint tonight. But thank you for all the comments by the pretty close to 300 plus of you I can see. Now, I know that message or these messages reach thousands, if not millions of people. Anything on social media, the amount of calls I get in the region, further afield is like, I know it is going somewhere. You guys may not be quote unquote brave like me to come on social media and others to speak your mind. I understand that. But you can do your little work in your corner. That too will add much value to where we need to be as a people. Please do. Tomorrow, Mrs. Edwards, that is Mrs. Annie Edwards, she will be our special invited guest to the program tomorrow. She will be speaking to a topic that concerns all of us in Dominica, especially where what we are going through in Domlek. She will be speaking, she'll be having a conversation with us about the environment, how we need to as a people to deal with our environment. In particular, she'll be zeroing on our waters in Dominica, our water. Glow nooded. Of late, we have been seeing the Rosa River to a trickle. That river, some of you knew it, back then was, a river. Now, if you look at the Rosa River today, it is down to a trickle. You are hearing the people at Domlek talking about the lake or the lakes. They are down to basically reaching rock bottom just now. What is happening? We need to pay attention. We need to be doing certain things. Some of us need to stop doing certain things. Those of us who are anti the environment. So it's a nice put together discussion. We'll be going to hear from her tomorrow. She's a professional among us, and we always like to hear from more professionals. All right, Brother Alvin Thomas will be there. Well, pending Domlek, Pending Domlek don't mess up the vibes tomorrow. So we'll be having that conversation. All right, people. So basically that is it. I just want to bid you guys a good night, and whatever is left of your evening, do enjoy it, but please don't overdo it. All right. Thank you, Dominicans. Till we see next week, Saturday, that is, same time, same place, on another live Saturday night live engagement. Basically, that program is all about connecting with us as a people. All right, we heard from Brother Carl Kofi James tonight. Carl, good evening to you, my brother. Again, thank you very much for your contribution tonight. All right, so folks, we're gonna end it here, and I'm gonna play this track from Steel Paws.